Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back here at Walker Ford, Clearwater, Florida, because guess what? I have that one truck that's pretty much mission impossible to track down. It's one of these. This is a Ford Maverick. This particular one is the top Lariat trim. But before we get into this bright blue compact size pickup truck, let's talk about what's going on here. Ford had no idea the hit that they were sitting on when they released the Maverick. Now, the Maverick name was unveiled many years ago on an actual car. It was the Ford Maverick. But they decided to take the name that was out of production and put it on this compact truck. Now, what's fascinating is that when it comes to compact trucks, this is something that is new, but yet old at the same time, because go back to the 1980s, and the early 1990s, it was all about compact trucks. Eventually, some trucks went away, like the Ford Ranger, but other trucks went on and they grew in size to what is now known as a mid-size truck. So if you think about your Tacoma, there's no more Chevrolet S10, but there's a Chevrolet Colorado, GMC Canyon, so on and so forth. These are mid-size trucks now. There's one truck other than this that is considered a compact truck, and that is the Hyundai Santa Cruz. So what I want to find out is, if you're looking for a truck, but yet maybe you don't want all the things that come with owning a large truck, obviously a place to park it. Some full-size trucks don't even fit in smaller garages. That driving capability of the truck, sometimes trucks don't ride like a car or an SUV, and that throws some people off. But what I want to find out is, should you go with the Maverick, or should you go Santa Cruz, or possibly that other truck that is a mid-size but is very similar to what this truck is all about, the Honda Ridgeline. So let's go ahead, let's dive into this Lariat trim Maverick and find out. Right off the bat, the proportions. They really got it right. You have a 4.5-foot bed, and this vehicle actually sits not on a truck chassis, but on the same chassis as the Ford Escape and the Bronco Sport. And there's actually a couple Bronco Sports over there, same chassis. Now at the front of the business, they did a great job blending the F-150 style with the smaller Maverick. So you're gonna get that C-shaped lighting, LED lighting. You do have the old-fashioned Thomas Edison light bulbs. That's okay, because remember, one of the great things about this truck, it's all about price point. Now, as we drop down, one of the things I wish they would have done, especially on the Lariat trim, is give me some fog lamps. They have this big area of just flat black plastic. I'm glad it doesn't look like a vent, but there's so much space here. Just give me a little bit of a fog lamp. I think would have been a nice touch on the Lariat trim. Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section. We come across the blue oval. So much history with that badge going back to the Model T, and then on the Maverick trim, that's the Lariat. You're gonna get the metallic silver horizontal bars, some flat black, and then dropping it down, more functionality and flat black as well. Now, the good news about the flat black, it's gonna take a better beating over time. I'm gonna have Steven kind of zoom in and show you that you actually have your intercooler, because we do have the upgraded turbocharged power plant underneath the hood of this Maverick. Now, as we rise up, love the bold hood. Just like an F-150, it's got some nice bold lines without being too over the top. And then as we come around the bend, what are we working with wheel and tire setup? So what you're gonna find on this Lariat trim are these 18-inch wheels, machined aluminum, gloss black, 225 on the width, 60 series sidewall, and I'm so glad that they painted all of the fender. Looks fantastic, especially in this bright blue color. Coming down the side, like you find on their other trucks, you do have your trim badging. This is the Lariat. Wish they would have done something with this. Make it functional, or put some side marker lights. So I am gonna have to zonk that, just like up front, there's no fog lamps. I'm gonna have to zonk that, but you do get color matched on the mirror caps. That's a nice touch. This one does not have a sunroof, which is surprising because it is a top Lariat trim. Color matched on the door handles. You got your little keypad here to where if you wanna lock the doors and keep the key fob inside the vehicle, you could do that. Really clean on the side of the vehicle with just a little bit more flat black, and then guess what? We have our 4.5 foot bed. Like I was saying, for those who really need that full-size truck, this ain't gonna cut it, but the great news is when you drop the rear tailgate, that allows you to have things be a little bit longer, and I'll show you how you would tie that all together. But coming towards the rear, nice, clean, nothing all over it. And then we get to the tailgate area. Before I drop the tailgate, let's drop it down to ground level. You got your full tow capability, because this is a truck, you can tow with it. We do have, because we have the turbocharged power plant, we got all-wheel drive. Because your two options are front-wheel drive with the hybrid setup, or all-wheel drive with the turbocharged setup, like the flat black on the rear bumper. And then of course the Maverick name. We're gonna open up the door. It is soft release, and look at the goodies that I have. I'm gonna have Steven kind of swing wide as I swing on in. You do have your full power source capability. So your home power source, we got LED bed lighting. I love the way that they do these sliding tie downs. Very easy. It's not like the Nissans where you gotta kind of turn them and turn them and turn them. You just pull and slide, which is really great. And then of course, you have the ability, like I said, you extend this out, you could use the tie down locations to get like a surfboard back here, something that's super long. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and talk horsepower on this Maverick. All right guys, we got the hood pop. You do have a prop rod underneath this hood because it is a Lariat trim, is the more powerful power plant. You're looking at a 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged engine pumping out 250 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, 0 to 60 in about 5.7 seconds, quarter mile in 14.5 seconds at 95 miles an hour. Top speed is governed to 110 miles per hour. MPG's 22 in the city, 29 on the highway. The vehicle weighs 3,800 pounds, can tow 4,000 pounds, and payload is 1,500 pounds. Now the great news is, with that rear bed, you could fit 4x8 sheets of plywood very easily. That's what Ford says. We haven't tested it, but that's the big things you could do with this small size truck. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and see it in motion. All right guys, we are inside this Ford Maverick, top trim, Lariat trim. I know you're saying to yourself, well Joe, I'm looking at Santa Cruz's, I'm looking at Honda Ridgelines, and one of the reasons why is because I could see them on the dealership lots where I live. I can't find these freaking Mavericks, but since you found this top Lariat trim, what's the MSRP? MSRP new is gonna be right at a little over $30,000. What's crazy to think is that these start at a little over $20,000. So Ford is definitely bringing a lot of value. Let's see what else they're bringing to the door panels. I love the two-tone color, that darker blue with the gray. You got some interesting geometric design there just to kind of spice things up, and that tan bronze is a nice splash of color. You have a double bottle holder there where you can get 2 bottles of Surge and 2 Big Macs. And then of course we have the optional B&O sound system on the Lariat trim. Now going from the door panel to the dash, I think one of the zonks with the material, it's all hard plastic. Door panel, dash, but you got the two-tone with the bronze. It's gonna make sense in a few moments why they use bronze. I even like the exposed screws. It just gives it a nice kind of different feel in here. Infotainment system, I was hoping for something a little bit larger. Maybe you've heard that in your life once or twice, but 8 inches is standard, and that's what all the trims get. It would have been nice on the Lariat to have a little bit larger screen, but you do have your double stacker here. This is for 2 Twinkies to slide in there. And what's nice is that even though it's a smaller screen, it is easy to operate. I mean, it's very intuitive. You got your wireless Apple CarPlay, your wireless Android Auto, dual climate control that shows up the temperatures up top. Let me throw it into reverse. There's our backup camera, takes up all 8 inches. I always like that. If you have 8 inches, like my dad says, if you have 8 inches of screen, you need to use all 8 inches of screen. Working our way down to AC vents, there's our dual climate control, 3 stages of heated seats, and a heated steering wheel, USB-C, USB-A. We have a power sliding rear glass window, 12 volt. There's our start stop button, wireless charging, and then you got a candy tray down here. You could put some Jolly Ranchers, some Tootsie Rolls, 2 cup holders, and then check it out. We got our Ford key fob. Spin it around, you got remote start, of course. This is gonna control that 8-speed automatic transmission. You got your different drive modes. I'll show you more of that when you come to the business end. You got another little holder here for some Tic Tacs. So if you've been eating Funyuns, I know Steven loves Funyuns, you could get some Tic Tacs to freshen your breath. And you have another place to put a couple more Twinkies. You could actually stack them up here, probably go about 6 high with your Twinkies. Here's where the tan comes into play. So with the bronze, it matches this dark tan interior. Open it up, look at that. You could easily put, I would say, 6 Game Boys. So if you're collecting Game Boys and your plan is that in the year 2040, you're gonna sell them online for lots of money, you could put about 4 to 5 Game Boys and some games in there. Tetris, Super Mario Brothers, of course, all of the great classics you could have in there, and then you could sell them and retire. Seats, same thing. The leather, the stitching, I love the two-tone. They did the seats phenomenal. On this vehicle, the passenger gets a manual seat. I have a full power seat. The one thing I'm missing, and the big zonk, no sunroof. Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section. But why don't you get your butt over here? I want to show you behind the wheel of this Maverick. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have your power seat settings. Real easy to get to those controls. It actually feels really spacious in here. When you hear the word compact, don't think tight cabin, because they got plenty of passenger room for the driver and the front seat passenger. Steering wheel, your traditional Ford wheel, nothing to really write home about. Flat black on the buttons. I wish somebody would do something about this horn button, make it just look a little nicer. Manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel, and then you got a little bit of a combo deal. Your analog tach, analog speedometer, and then you have that digital display in the center where you could scroll through 2 million different views. No, not 2 million, around 10 different views, a cornucopia of views of information, which is really nice. And then, like I said, seats are comfy, plenty of room. Let's get in the back seat and see if your passengers are gonna be happy that you went compact with your truck. All right, guys, back seat time. And this is another thing. I don't know what type of magic that Ford knows, but they really configured this interior to be very spacious. Still 6 feet tall, plenty of headroom. Backs of the seats have that nice soft material. You got your pockets here for a couple nice big chocolate chip cookies or macadamia nut cookies from Subway. USB-C, USB-A, and a home power source, so they got you covered there, which is wonderful. I have my own pocket because, trust me, I want my own freaking cookies. I'm not sharing my cookies with you, but I tell you, there's plenty of room in here to share with people. I'm a little disappointed in the armrest. It's sort of like they took a brick and wrapped this material around the brick. So not very soft, but it is very spacious for your elbow. 2 cup holders, and I'm really digging the two-tone. I really feel like the two-tone makes this truck feel extra special, but it's about that time. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go take this Maverick for a spin. All right, guys, we're leaving Walker Ford. We're in this Ford Maverick Lariat trim. On throttle, here we go. 8-speed drops down, and you are off and running. So the nice thing is that you're gonna get some good power. 250 horsepower out of this 4-cylinder turbo really is plenty for this compact size truck. The reason why I don't have the camera out the front is I just wanted to kind of showcase what it's like being behind the wheel of the truck, like, so that you can see how much room I have. Visibility is great, instrumentation is easy to read, and I think that's one of the biggest pluses about this truck is that it's so easy to drive. It really is the perfect truck for people who don't want a traditional truck ride and feel. Getting to everything is well within reach. So many different storage cubbies that you could bring all of the snacks you want, and you're gonna have plenty to survive no matter where you're going to. And then your backseat passengers have plenty of room as well, which, like I said, is quite phenomenal. It really feels, I know it sits on the chassis of the Escape and of the Bronco Sport, but it really does ride super duper well. And that's what allows you to feel good behind the wheel. Going on throttle, if you need a merge, plenty of power to get out of your own way. It definitely feels more responsive power-wise than the V6 that is in the Ridgeline. Remember, the Ridgeline is a larger truck. It's got a naturally aspirated V6. This engine, though, behaves very, very nicely. I do like the 2-liter EcoBoost with the power delivery. 8-speed shifts nice and smooth. And then the comfort. The seats feel good. I'm able to get that lower lumbar just the way that I like it. And you got your different driving modes. You could go from normal. They got tow haul, slippery when wet, eco, and sport. I'll leave it in sport mode. That's going to change the behavior of the transmission, the all-wheel drive, and obviously throttle and steering. Are you ready? We're going to go on throttle. On throttle, here we go. All grip, no slip. So very, very well done with getting the power to the ground. Handling feels great. You put it into that sport mode, it's gonna quicken up the steering, quicken up the throttle response. Like I said, I think my main zonks are that we have a small size screen on a top trim and no sunroof. That is, I think, a big bummer. Let me know how you feel about it down in the comment section. But going down the highway, drives really smooth. You got plenty of space in that bed of that truck. Even though it's a 4.5-foot bed, you still got plenty of room to go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, load up with all the mulch that you can handle for the weekend. That's how good this truck is when it comes to space. But even going over the bumps, sucks everything up very nicely. Suspension, it's gonna feel like you're driving an SUV. And I actually mean that in a good way. I like this better than a Ford Escape or a Bronco Sport, but yet it drives just like those vehicles do in a very good way. And having the nice large digital display, I know it's not full digital, but having the analog speedometer, tachometer, I'm okay with that. And having the digital display when you're in sport mode, it turns bright red, so you can feel really sporty and racy. And you're getting pretty decent fuel economy. Remember, if you want better fuel economy, you can go with the hybrid, and what that's gonna bring you is on the highway, 40 miles of the gallon. Remember, that's front wheel drive. This, when you go EcoBoost, is all-wheel drive. But I really love the seats in here and just how well organized. I know I said it before, but it's just very well organized in here, very comfy. I could do without the hard plastic on the door panels, but obviously they're trying to keep it within a price point. But let me know what you think. Are you going Santa Cruz? Are you going Honda Ridgeline? Or do you like this Maverick? We're gonna get back to Walker Ford and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been a wet and wild kind of day out here at Walker Ford. Definitely want to thank Frank Walker, Weston Walker, Tracy, Mark the Gooch, and the rest of the crew for getting us access to this Lariat trim of the popular Ford Maverick. Let me know what you think. Are you gonna go Ford Maverick? Would you go Santa Cruz? Or are you gonna go Honda Ridgeline? Let me know down in that comment section, but if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile clicking and coming back. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radies Rides family. Of course, we need to give it up Stephen Flood Photography. He's out here doing the anti-rain dance, and I think it's working, Stephen. So thank you for your dancing capabilities and your drum beating capabilities. A lot of people don't realize that Stephen is a professional drummer, so thank you for all that you bring to the table. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.